Tiffany from Tiffanys Crafts. Thank you for looking at my YouTube page. This is my first podcast, and I am sitting here next to my beautiful harp. I'm a harpist. I've been playing for 21 years, and I also like to make crafts. And I like to post on my YouTube page the videos of the crafts that I'm currently making and enjoy creating. I've been doing a lot of crocheting lately, making hats, mostly for friends and family. I probably made about 14 hats so far this fall season. And happy Thanksgiving. I've been making my own patterns. I enjoy doing that. And mostly granny square hats. And I'm using original ideas for patterns for blankets and converting them, making them smaller into hats for me and my family to wear. And when you first start thinking about hats, you want to think about what type of fabric you're going to use. And I do prefer alpaca. That's my favorite. And then my second favorite's wool. And this hat right here that you see on my little mannequin head, that is a starburst granny square hat. And those squares are probably about 5 inches across. And I made the brim so it kind of has a nice little bit of a ruffle, a little bit of a soft edge to it. And then the last thing that I created was a snowman. I wanted a snowman, and I couldn't decide if I wanted to go to the Pottery and Art Studio and make my own by using a kiln and painting it. I had done that about a month ago for some candle holders that were made with the owl theme on it. It was really cute. I do have that posted on how I made those, as I do make instructional videos on my YouTube page, Tiffanys Crafts. So I decided to make a cute little snowman, and I wanted it to be like a granny square theme, so I made a very tiny granny square scarf with a snowman and a granny square hat. And I wanted him to have long legs so he could sit on a shelf. And of course he had to have feet. And embroidered the face and the carrot nose. I made that and made it look like a little coal. And then I had a request from a friend to give him a little teeth, to give him some teeth. And I thought, oh well, how am I going to do that? But I ended up manipulating the material so it kind of does look like he's got one little tooth there. And the material that I used for this was sock yarn. I used the sock yarn for the granny square scarf and the hat. And it is very small, miniature sized, but I do like miniature sized projects to do. I just thought it was so cute. And it is very small, the little tiny granny squares with the flower. And of course I made the granny square scarf and hat exactly how you would make a granny square, with corners and sides. And it worked out very well. And with the hat, I did the corners and the sides, and then I decided to do front post, back post for the brim right here, because I really enjoy making that stitch. And as far as the feet go on the doll, that was challenging to think, how was I going to make feet on this doll? And so when I was making the legs for the doll, I put pipe cleaners in the legs, so the legs would move and the arms would move. Just with the way that I pulled the material, it ended up forming a hat just by when you're making the legs. And I think I single crocheted them, and then I put the pipe cleaner in. And when I was sewing it up with whip stitch, that's how I was pulling on the leg for doing the whip stitch. It ended up forming the foot, and that was done by accident. And I thought, well, that worked out so beautiful and perfect. So I made sure that I did the other foot like that, and it came out exactly like how I wanted. And then with the granny square scarf, I ended up doing a single crochet in the back. And the doll was made with single crochet, and it was done with the white is a beige color, and it was done with this medium yarn. Just thought that he was just so cute. Oh, and I did put pipe cleaner in the back on the bottom here to stabilize it. I put it right in here, and I sewed it into the doll to make sure that when the doll sat on a table, it wouldn't fall over, and it would just easily sit. And the eyes were done with magic rings, magic circles. And then with the nose, I put pipe cleaner in here. I didn't have to, I would have gotten the shape anyways, but because I put the pipe cleaner in the arms and the legs, I just decided to put a pipe cleaner in the nose too. And what I did was I decreased it. Yep, it was started with a magic ring, and then I ended up decreasing it to get that point. And then it just looked perfect, but I thought, well, I'm just going to use the pipe cleaner anyway, even though it doesn't need it. And so I just sewed it on in the middle of the material, and I whip stitched it together, and it turned out real nice. And I was quite pleased with this. This is my own pattern. Oh, and the cutest thing are these gloves on the doll. Yep. They are made even with a gusset for the thumb, and a little cuff on here. And you know what? It didn't take that long to do the gloves. It wasn't hard at all. And I do have a link on my YouTube page, Tiffanys Crafts, on how to make this. And I was thinking, well, do I want to do magic circles for the eyes, the nose, here it looked like coal, and I didn't know if I wanted to use a carrot button or to use buttons going across here. And I had some embroidered eyes that I made about a year ago, and they were blue, and they were very pretty. And I made the backing with needlepoint canvas, and they looked adorable, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to use that or not for the doll. And I thought, well, usually when you see the idyllic snowman, always two eyes for coal mouth, going down here, coal. And I thought, well, it's got to be black. It's got to use the black, and it's got metallic silver in the eyes, because I got that over at Hobby Lobby. It's black metallic. They've got some really pretty yarn over at Hobby Lobby with the metallic green and black and white. I ended up making a black hat with that yarn, a granny square hat. It looked a lot like this, and the sparkles on it just shined. It was so pretty, because I was making it for a friend, and she had a black coat, and I thought, well, she's got to have a hat. So yeah, this is the sunburst granny square, and it wasn't hard to make at all. And I whip stitched the squares together, and I just think that's adorable with the way it turned out. And I made 14 of these because I like them so much. Have to make one, not just for myself, but for everybody I know and friends and family. And so I've been thinking about granny squares and what I would like to do with them. And I was thinking, well, do I want to make my next project a granny square blanket? Because I just love the idea of making granny squares, because you can just crochet them and you just have a little square, and you can take that anywhere you want with you, and you can just sew it there. You don't have to put a whole blanket together at one time. And then you can just make your squares and store them, and then when you feel, you know, up to sewing them together, you can. So I started with this. I made this. I just finished putting this and posting this online, and I really like it. It's made out of alpaca. The white flower, it's a white flower done with a circle, a magic circle, and I ended up making this very large flower, and I sewed. Well, actually, I crocheted it with pink and made it lay flat, this part right here, and then the granny squares and a white border, and just was adorable. So I have really enjoyed creating this granny square, and you can see the white on the back side because that is the flower. That is the bottom layer of the flower, and it's got a pretty border, and I was thinking that I might try to make a blanket out of this, and I'm very pleased with the way it came out. And this is my own pattern, and the way that I made that was just a regular granny squares with the sides and the corner. I was originally taking a pattern from a book that I had found to give me an idea on how to make the flower, and then I just changed the pattern around a little bit and made it applicable for the project that I would like to do, and I changed the way that the pattern was for how to make the granny squares for doing sides and corners, and I changed the flower a bit, and I really liked the way that it turned out, and I just love the colors. It's alpaca. I got that over at Michael's. It's called A Touch of Alpaca, a light pink and the white, and I thought that maybe I would try to make other granny squares like this in a different color, perhaps purple, and change the flower a little bit. This is about 9 inches and about 11 inches diagonal, and I also have that on my YouTube page, Tiffanys Crafts. And then this was one of the first that I made this year, and it's a doily, and it ended up being my own pattern, and it was the first time I had done a magic circle and put it in a doily. And it's just very pretty to put under a plate. I like the way that turned out. And that was done with acrylic. And then when I was playing around with the sunburst granny square, I wanted to make that my own pattern too, because it's nice to be able to make your own patterns based upon the project that you want to make and the size of the granny square that you want to make. You might want to make it smaller based upon making it as a hat, or larger for a blanket. And this orange is made out of wool, and I believe the rest of it is acrylic, and this is called tweed. It's a real pretty beige with a little bit of dark colors in it, and it turned out really nice. And then, but it was too large for a hat, for a square for a hat, so I decided to make it smaller by not doing this round here with the white tweed. so I ended up making it 5 inches, and that ended up being perfect for a hat. And then this one I had made, this was my second one that I had made in the round. It was a very large coaster. I wanted to make that for fall. And I'm very pleased with it. It was the first time I had put 2 colors together, black and orange, and it was the second one that I've ever done in the round. And I was pleased with that as well. It turned out nice, and I have videos on my page on how to. That kind of looks like a smiley face there with the mouth and the eyes and nose. It's kind of funny how that turned out like that. Maybe just from the camera. And I have a lot of videos, instructional videos on how to crochet in the round to make a true circle. Because if you don't make a true circle, it ends up being a different shape. And that is just through making increases. Thank you for watching my podcast. I wish you a very happy Thanksgiving. And I hope to do this podcast again. I'd like to make a podcast of all of the hats that I had knitted, loom knitted. I really enjoyed loom knitting, and talk about my experiences with that and the hats that I made. I've made many, at least 14, because I like to make them for everybody I know. And I was very pleased with the way that they turned out. So that will probably be for the next podcast. And I will include in this video some of my beautiful harp playing for you to enjoy, to listen to. And again, thank you, and have a nice day.